Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend, the Dreamfinder, here to set off on another grand circle tour of the Magic Kingdom.
The Disneyland Limited, now leaving for a grand circle tour of the Magic Kingdom. All passengers board.
Star Tours announces the boarding of the Endor Express. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the door.
Please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times. Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
I am Sam, the American Eagle, and I am proud to introduce the Grand Circle Tour podcast, a celebration of Disney parks, but mostly the American ones. I really like these guys.
Hello, Grand Circle Tour passengers, and welcome to another episode of the Grand Circle Tour podcast. My name is Dan, and I will be your conductor as we take you on a Grand Circle Tour around all things Disney. Tonight, we have an amazing show planned. I am joined by my two favorite co-hosts, George. George, how's it going?
Hey, Dan, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Very good. George, are you a hockey fan?
Somewhat, yeah. The Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay. Just want to remind you that my Islanders are now up 3-0 on your Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh.
Throw that out there right now. Well, what's up, George?
Oh, boy. Well, getting a lot of stuff ready for my upcoming trip in August for the D23 Expo and Disneyland trip. And also this may sound kind of strange doing this 4 year, well, was it 4 years? Either 3 or 4 years in advance, but I ended up requesting a Disney Fairy Tale Weddings / honeymoon / vow renewal pamphlet.
Whoa.
That, yeah. In 2023, we're going to celebrate our 10 year, and we're going to have it done at Walt Disney World.
Wow.
So we're all invited? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Are there going to be invitations?
Yes.
Nice. That sounds like an awesome episode to be coming up soon, yeah.
Yes.
Actually, we'd like a couple of y'all to actually participate.
Wow. This is all news to us right now. Breaking news on the Grand Circle podcast. And my other favorite co-host, Mindy. How are you and what's up?
I am so good. It's been a crazy busy week. I'm excited to have some downtime and be on the show with you guys. I really am. I look forward to Sundays because podcast time is so much fun time because we talk and chit-chat, and I love it. It's so much fun.
Well, Mindy, you're going to have a great time tonight because we've read the emails, we've listened to all your voicemails, we've even seen the smoke signals that you put on there, and we know that you demand another points game. That's right. Today's episode is the return of the points game, George's favorite game. Isn't that right, George?
The points. It's back.
It's back, George, your favorite game. And who knows, maybe you'll win this episode.
You never know. I am a little bit more prepared than the last time.
Oh, preparation is always a good thing.
Because the last time was the first time I have ever played the game. And I didn't really know how this point system would work. And then after I gave my Pandora answer, then I kind of got the hint that, okay, I didn't go in this properly.
All right, so for passengers, for those that don't know what the points game is, and also for Mindy, because this is your first time playing, isn't it?
It is the first time I've played. I've listened to it, but I've never had the wonderful opportunity to play in your presence.
All right, well, I'm going to explain there's only 2 rules to the points game. First rule is for George and Mindy and myself. You do not have to go in order of your top 5. You could use some strategy of what to throw out there when. And the second rule, which is the most important rule, is that I give you the points. Whatever I say, that's how many points you get, and we score from 1 to 100. And this topic is, what's today's topic, guys? Most underrated experiences at any of the Disney parks. So I gave Mindy and George a little homework earlier in the week, and they came up with some good ideas. And you guys want to get right to it?
Let's do it.
All right, Mindy, ladies first.
Okay, so
First one.
underrated. This is going to go out to Animal Kingdom. And I think, in my opinion, an underrated show is the Finding Nemo show.
Right.
You know, I hear people say how horrible it is or that it's a time waster, but you know what? It's air conditioned in there, and it's pretty amazing, and the characters are phenomenal. So I'm going with Finding Nemo.
So I love that show. I think it's like very high quality. And do you think people skip it just because it's a long show, or is it because they don't like it, or what do you think?
A little bit of both. I mean, there's a lot of people that do skip it. I think it's 50-50. You either do or you don't. And obviously it comes down to the person, but it's Finding Nemo, so it can come across that it's like a little kid's show, or that it's just an underrated attraction as far as the show goes. And, you know, I see a lot on boards and different threads that they don't like it. So I'm going with Finding Nemo.
All right, I think that's a great answer. Mindy, you are already a pro at this game.
Woo-woo!
You know, and I can already tell you're going to beat George tonight.
You're going down, George.
And I'm going to give you 90 points out of that 100. Very good. Very good start.
Beats like what, my 9 points for Pandora.
George is still upset about the last time when he played this game and did not win.
Well, I'm never going to let you live that down. As far as you have this point system going, I'm going to keep on mentioning it.
All right, George, you're up.
All right. Mine would be, now, I believe that this is underrated due to the fact that a lot of people don't even know it's available to do. And I have done it twice, and I think it's a very unique experience for anyone to enjoy, and it's dining with an Imagineer.
Ooh.
And you can do this at the Hollywood Brown Derby at Hollywood Studios, or the Flying Fish at the Boardwalk. I believe the Boardwalk for the Flying Fish, they only do dinner, but Hollywood Brown Derby, they do lunch also with the dinner. And you could have up to, I believe, 4 guests that's in your party. It's more so you could have other people with you, but it's more so where they have an exclusive and Imagineer for the day that you can have lunch or dinner, a full-on meal. You get a salad, entree, dessert, and you get to pick an Imagineer's brain. You know, depending on what day it is, you can get an engineer, a show writer, art designer, and you could just pretty much for several hours, I would say it's like a good maybe like 2.5 hour experience. It is extra if you are on the dining plan. It doesn't count for the dining plan, but you get a commemorative plate that says Walt Disney Imagineering, and the Imagineer will sign it, and you could take pictures and everything. And I think it's a underrated experience just to the fact that a lot of people don't know it's there.
George, do you get to pick the Imagineer, or is it just like given to you, like whoever's on that day?
It's given to you who's on the day. Yeah.
How long in advance do you find out who it is?
A lot of times you find out the day you go. Sometimes that they do send you like a confirmation email with the person, but due to their jobs, it can change.
Sure. Do you know the price off the top of your head?
Not at the top of my head. I would have to relook that, but I'll definitely add that in whenever I do figure that out. But I do remember the first Imagineer that I met was Gary Landrum, and he does a lot like with the documents and a lot of like the archives within Walt Disney Imagineering.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Like a portfolio type of person.
That sounds like an amazing experience. I know that you have spoken about it in the past on this podcast, but besides that, I haven't really heard anyone mention it. So, George, maybe this is your turning point on this game. That's an excellent start. 100 points. You take the lead.
Oh.
Awesome job.
As I said, I came prepared.
It's guaranteed you'll get a 0 on the next one, no matter what it is, by the way. All right, I'm going to start with mine. So this is how I did my choices. We're going to do 5 each year. I decided to pick one attraction, one ride, one sit-down restaurant, one quick service, one show, and then one like miscellaneous. So I was going to start with my ride, but since Mindy brought up a show at Animal Kingdom, that's where my show is too. And it's a lesser known show that I think most people just walk on by. But I really, really enjoy the Up Bird Show. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
I think that is very underrated. It's when they redid it with the Up theme, they put a lot of shade there, so it's nice and you cool off a little bit. They have some fans there, and the birds are pretty amazing of what the birds can do. They've changed it up a little bit. You know, they used to have the bird come out into the audience and steal people's money. I don't know if you guys did that on the old one. They got rid of that scene, but they added some more scenes. I think the toucan now lands on someone's shoulder, which is pretty cool. And you see a bald eagle. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I agree. That's very underrated, and people walk right by it. And that Up is involved with it, it's even cuter.
Yes, I agree that it's at least more themed than it used to be with the Up characters. So, all right, Mindy, I'm going to let you give me points on that one.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, fun times. That's a pretty good one. I'll give you like 93. That's a pretty good one.
All right. 93.
That's it. You're right. People look right over that one. That is really underrated.
All right, Mindy, you're up next.
Okay. I do. This is going out to Epcot, and we're going to go with Living with the Land.
Oh, no, you stole mine. Now
He stole mine, too.
The joys of going first. So, Living with the Land is people don't go to it and walk right by it because it's a slow-moving boat attraction. But let's get real. When I sit in that boat, I just feel the Disney magic. Like, I feel at home there. When I'm riding that, I'm like, I am at Walt Disney World. And it is just a surreal feeling for me anyway. I'm just like, it's a feeling like you're sitting in that boat, and I look over at my family, and we're quiet looking at pumpkins that look like Mickey heads growing upside down. There's so much to see in there, and it's an amazing attraction. Don't overlook it, you guys. Go on Living with the Land. And, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And people walk right by it.
And I think
there's never a long line.
And I think it's also interesting that it's not even just an attraction, but you get to literally see how they grow their fruits and their vegetables that gets transported around the whole entire resort.
Yep.
Right.
Everything that you see in there, it's their salads, it's their fruit cups, it's their everything.
Yep.
True. And they do a behind the scenes, it's called Behind the Seeds tour, I think that's what it's called. But you can go take a tour of how they grow everything back there, and it's really cool. It's really fun. And take a tour of the inside of the greenhouses and what they do. It's pretty interesting.
So the attraction's been around forever, and I remember going on it even as a little kid and thinking, wow, this is so cool just to see how everything's made.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it's fascinating.
Yep, definitely is. Mindy, I'm so upset that you stole mine because I just said that I was going to start with my attraction one first, but changed it because of you. So
you're welcome.
How I can't give you a good score on that, but it is my game. So if it was me, I'd give myself 100, but I'm going to give you an 80 on that one.
Oh, okay.
And that's how this game works. So
that's no fair.
See how cruel he is.
I know. What the heck? I just gave you 93 freaking points.
Shouldn't have gave me 93. You're a rookie.
Okay, well, it's on
Well,
now.
it's better than 9.
All right, George, speaking of 9 points, I have that number in my mind.
I should shut up about it.
All right, George, what do you got?
Mine is, well, let's see. I got to skip that one because somebody stole that one from me. So, okay, I would have to go with horseback riding at Fort Wilderness.
Oh, good one.
A lot of people don't resonate, being in Florida, at Walt Disney World, that they have their very own camping site where you can literally either stay in an RV, in a tent, cook out, barbecue, what have you, but more so go horseback riding. I mean, who doesn't love going horseback riding? And the fact that you could actually go horseback riding in a setting that you wouldn't even think that would be in Central Florida.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great one, actually. I've never done it, so I have to say, have you done it before, George?
I personally haven't, but it's definitely on one of my bucket lists.
Yeah, because when you go...
I actually eventually would like to stay at Fort Wilderness at some point, just to have that camp feeling and that setting, but still know that I'm in Walt Disney World and still can enjoy the other attractions.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you're in that resort, how you just feel like you're in the woods somewhere. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, good job, George. I'll give you another 100 points for that. You currently have a perfect score of 200.
Nice. Oh, and before you go on, I have to make a correction. It used to be at the Flying Fish for Dine with an Imagineer, but it's currently right now at Citricos.
That probably had to switch it up because the Imagineers kept going to the same restaurants over and over.
Yeah.
Can we get a new restaurant? All right. I will go next, and I'm going to go with my quick service now. And my quick service that I always go to at the Magic Kingdom is Columbia Harbor House. Love Columbia Harbor House. Food's good. I'm a big seafood guy, so sometimes it's a little sketchy when you have seafood in the amusement parks. However, it's pretty good stuff. Reasonably priced for the amount of food that you get, considering you're at Disney. And the best part about Columbia Harbor House is the seating. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter if it's middle of summer. If you go to that upstairs area, you will always get a seat. And we all know the struggles of finding a seat during lunchtime. Have you guys ever been there?
Yes,
I have. You're right. The seating is fantastic. I love being able to go up there and enjoy. It's air conditioned. Another reason why you need to go there.
I actually have my favorite booth up in the top level that has an outlet, and I plug all my phones in.
Oh, nice.
Hang out there for a couple hours. So.
Nice. You stole that one from me because I was going to say that one too. Columbia House.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right, Mindy. So now I'll let you give me points again since I stole yours.
Okay. Well, I'm going because people know about it and there's food there. I'm going 75.
Whoa! Bold move.
Take that, buddy.
Bold.
Because it's not that underrated. Because people know about it and most people like it. So take that, smack.
All right.
And yet at the same time, it was on her list.
Exactly.
Bold move, give me 75 points when you're up next.
Oh. Okay, well, this is going to be a good one that you cannot deny is underrated.
Okay.
And we're going to Magic Kingdom because it's no longer at Disneyland. And we're going to Country Bear Jamboree. Boom! It is underrated to the core. People...
Time out, man. If you say that again, I think you were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So we're going to Magic Kingdom.
It was kind of like Tony the Tiger with great.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to Magic Kingdom, and this here is going to be, because it's not at Disneyland anymore, we're going to the Country Bear Jamboree. Woo-haw! Because not very many people see it, but it has its own soundtrack. People love it. If you're a diehard Disney fan, you are going to Country Bear Jamboree, and you're going to sing along and tap your feet and clap your hands. Because guess what? It is underrated. Take that.
It is underrated. It is on my honorable mention list. You know what my favorite part of the Country Bears is?
What?
Have you ever brought someone that's never been in it before, and the first time they're listening to the lyrics, and you always have to see their face kind of like, huh?
Because it's not politically correct anymore?
People are like, that's not Disney type of music.
Yeah, it's really funny too. So you just go in there and laugh along with it, but it's really underrated. You know, it's never busy. There's never a lot of people in there, but again, it's air conditioned, so you got to go.
Air conditioned. I always go on that attraction after lunch. That's my let's digest and hang out Friday. All right, Mindy, you're giving all the good ones, all things that were on my list. You gave me 75. I'm going to give you higher. So I'll go with 76 for that one.
Oh, okay, I'll take it. Wah, wah, wah. I'll take it, though.
George, you are up.
All right. I will have to go with, believe it or not, because this is every time that I go down for vacationing, and this is even in the dead middle of summer where it's packed, and yet every single time that we go in, there is hardly anybody in there. So I just think a lot of people don't really pay attention to what it is and what it's about, but at the Magic Kingdom, I have to go with the Carousel of Progress.
Ooh. You're going to say that's underrated?
Yes, honestly. And I think it's underrated in the sense because every time that I go, now you have to also think too, we're diehard Disney fans.
Yeah, good point.
That is an iconic attraction. But
I agree.
People that are just going down with their families, maybe for the first time or even the couple times, they see that building and it's the Carousel of Progress. I really don't think it appeals to them to want to go in. Because every single time, as I said, we go usually in mid to late July, and it's always dead. There's like a few rows that are filled up, but I mean, the whole theater, it never fills up.
And what is it, George? It's air conditioned.
Yes.
Now, I think you bring up a good point, George, where sometimes we forget that not everyone is as crazy about Disney as we are. Most people that go to Disney World, they don't even know what they're getting themselves into, and they probably do walk right on past it. So that's good.
And how I know that, to back my point up, I came across a family that was walking, and they said, why would they have a carousel in Fantasyland and Tomorrowland?
Oh, wow. So they thought it was an actual carousel?
They thought it was an actual carousel, an indoor carousel.
Well, it's
I couldn't really have the heart to really tell them because I know what I really wanted to say, but I kind of just...
Oh, I would have been all over that. Like, no, what's wrong with you? That's not what it is. Well, it's definitely one of my favorite attractions of all time. Not underrated to us, but probably underrated to everyone out there. So, George, wow, man, you are perfect tonight. Another 100 points.
Woo!
Perfect score. I don't think the history of this game has ever gone with 300 points the first 3 rounds.
Yikes. Okay.
All right. I will go and this is kind of stealing a little bit of George's, but I'm going to go more of a bigger scale. And that's taking a day to explore your resorts and just love and hang out and do what the resorts have to offer. Well, you brought up the horseback riding, George, but I can think of all different hotels have all different experiences to deal with, to hang out with and have fun with. And it's something that I think most families try to cram as much stuff as possible in their short time. at Disney, but I have made a vow to my family that from now on we are always going to have at least one resort only day to kind of hang out and, you know, not only the pool stuff, but all the other stuff that the resorts have to offer.
I agree with that because a lot of the times, you know, with the hustle and bustle, with the theme parks and everything, a lot of people don't really realize that there's a lot of theming and a lot of background to each resort that makes them unique and everything. And I remember I took a trip down with a buddy of mine from Ohio, and we went to the Magic Kingdom, but for the second half of the day, we literally went from the Contemporary to the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian and everything, and we just kept on looking at all the different sights, sounds, smells that made each resort unique.
Yeah, I mean, you could spend literally hours in each resort just wandering around, exploring, you know, finding hidden Mickeys and looking at their itinerary with all the fun things that they have, their schedules, you know.
You know, I think it's a must. I think if you're going to go, in my opinion, if you're going to go to Walt Disney World, it is definitely a must that you need to have a day to be able to go and just enjoy your resort for two reasons. You got to unwind because running around Walt Disney World's so big. You're walking miles and miles and miles. And you've got to take that downtime to be able to enjoy it, and also to go to the different resorts because there's so much fun food. I mean, if we're gonna go resort hopping, I want to try things. I want to go to the Poly and get Tonga toast, and I want to go to Port Orleans Riverside and get the food there. You know, there's so many options to be able to explore and what you can get at different resorts. It's totally underrated to do that. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. All right, George, I'll let you give me points this time.
All righty.
You've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Yes. And here's the part that tortures me the most, that the one time that you asked me to give you points, I actually think that's a really good one. So believe it or not, I have to give you 95 on that one.
95?
Yes.
Wow.
I thought that was really clever.
I think that's my highest yet. It is my highest yet. All right. How about we do a quick count right now? You guys want to know who's in the lead?
Oh, yeah. Who's up above?
George is in the lead with 300.
Oh.
I'm in second with 263, but Mindy, you're right behind me at 246.
Oh.
So
Okay.
make these last two rounds count. Mindy, would you like to start off round 4?
All right, I will. Okay, so this one's going back to Epcot, and you might laugh, but I love it. And that is the Canada Pavilion and watching O Canada. It's totally underrated. And it's so pretty in there. Like the theming of every single country is amazing, but there's something about the Canada Pavilion and being able to go over there and sit. It's really quiet up in the mountainous part, and you go down and you don't even really know it's there, but they have the Circle Vision, and the Circle Vision was invented from Walt Disney himself. He wanted to show that. I think it's a great show, and it's really pretty, and it's so cool, and it really makes you dizzy if you don't be careful because you got to close your eyes. So I'm going with Canada's Pavilion.
It's funny that you said the Disney thing because that's what my rebuttal was going to be, because I always get sick in that thing.
It's true. You do, but it's so cool. It's really cool to be able to turn around and see every perspective of the camera and see Canada.
Yeah. It's funny. I can go on the roller coasters, not have any problem, but I go stand in the Canadian Pavilion, and I can't deal with it. But I do think that Canada is just in general an underrated pavilion too.
Agreed.
Yep. George, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, me personally, a lot of the things in World Showcase are pretty much underrated. Like, I think a lot of people pass through the countries.
Yeah, I agree.
And I really don't think they really take the time to look in depth of what each section has to offer.
Agreed. So I had to pick one. So I would say Canada's Pavilion. But even the attractions, obviously Frozen's attraction in Norway is like really big. But there's so many more. The little Mexican, I don't even know the name of it. The one in Mexico, and the what is it called? Yes, and that little cute boat ride. I mean, there's so many attractions in there, and you can do the little the Kim Possible with the phone and go around, and it's so much fun. There's so many things to do in the World Showcase, but Canada, I love it. There's something about it. So I'm going. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I like it, Mindy. I like it a lot. You're getting 100 points for that one.
Yeah.
George?
I'm up. All right. Well, with me, so actually, we're staying at Epcot and taking off what Mindy was saying. And also, as I was mentioning about the World Showcase and how a lot of people don't really pay attention to what's in them, I have to go with something that's sort of like a sideshow in the France Pavilion. And forgive me, passengers, if I'm mispronouncing this, but I'm going to try to say this for all the people who speak French, know French, or are French. Please forgive me. It's Sévère Amusant. And if I am pronouncing that incorrectly, Sacre Bleu. So,
you're waiting all day to say that.
Yes.
George, I think I know what that is.
You want
Is that the chair show?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. It's with that one. Well, there's a couple reasons why I picked that. Was one, a lot of people really don't know, really too much about it. If they're not passing at the right time, they're missing it, or they're not actually physically looking for it. No one's ever going to go to Epcot and think, okay, well, let's go to the France Pavilion and go see, acrobatics with chairs and tables and what have you. And then second of all is being that you were doing this show and you were hosting, and knowing that I do believe on a past adventure that you had mentioned something of the nature of, I wish that they would just kind of mess up. And the only way that they can mess up is literally if the chairs tumble while the guy is standing at the very tippy top.
First of all, you're a cheater, George. You're doing this just because I love that show. Yes, you are right. That would be the only way they could screw up, is if we learn something disastrous.
As I said, I came in with strategy.
George is out to win. He's fighting for some blood.
So I gave a tip on one of the last shows when we talked about it in the past, but just to, if you haven't heard that show, a great viewing spot. What tends to happen is they'll come out with these whistles. That's how they'll start, and they'll have the chairs. And at first, I think a lot of guests just kind of think that they're, I don't know, maybe like selling something or janitors or something like that. And then you realize that it's a show, and then that like semicircle starts. Like everyone knows what I'm talking about when you have like a street performer and people kind of like gather around. If you go behind the planter, which is next to Chefs de France, you have a very good vantage point from there, and no one stands kind of like behind them. And you don't need to be in front of them because you can see the show from all different angles, and they're not just facing one way. They're all over the place when they're up there. So good tip is to stand in the back there, and you get pretty close to them. So, George, it's a very, very strategic move that you just did there, but it definitely paid off. I can't believe I'm doing this, but there's another 100 points for you. You have a perfect score through 4 rounds.
Oh, man. All right.
Okie dokie. I'll go next. I'm going to go with one where I think this might be my biggest stretch, and I think maybe some of our passengers will look at me a little funny and maybe get some "you're crazy" emails out there. But I'm going to go with a sit-down restaurant. It's one that I bet you most people have not been to unless you stayed at this resort. But it had the best prime rib that I've ever had in my life. And that restaurant is none other than Boatwright's at Port Orleans. Mindy's shaking her head and making a yucky face.
No.
Have you been there?
Absolutely no. Yes.
Did you have the prime rib?
No.
The prime rib is amazing.
Maybe it is, but
I have to ask, Mindy, what did you have that was, I have to ask, sorry.
It was some rice gumbo stuff, and it was not good at all. It was like cringeworthy. Ugh.
Sorry, Jay, make sure you put that in the show notes. Some rice stuff.
Some rice stuff. I mean, it was a long time ago. We never went back, to be honest. Like, it was a long wait. And we stay at Port Orleans Riverside all the time. We love it. It's my favorite resort. Mm-hmm. And I can't stand Boatwrights. It's horrible. It's, no. Well, we were there because we waited for forever. I mean, it took us an hour just to get seated. And then we got the food. It was cold. It's just mushy gumbo stuff. And it wasn't good at all. Like, it was terrible.
All right, Mindy. Well, you're wrong. And
no,
right.
You're wrong.
I'm looking at the menu here. I do not see any rice stuff.
Okay, well then they revamped it because it was rice gunk. That's all I gotta say in a bowl. It was not good.
It has a all you care to enjoy chef's platter, a Big Easy.
Yeah, that's not.
Maybe it doesn't start with rice, Dan. Maybe try to look for something that starts like with D, like disgusting rice.
There you go. Exactly.
Was it the Boatwright's jambalaya?
I don't know. I'm telling you, this was back in 2008, so 10 years ago. They could have gotten a new menu, but we had such a bad experience, and we stay there at that resort all the time. We never went back. Like, it was so bad. We were just like, never, ever again.
All right, well, if anyone is going to go there, I would highly suggest the prime rib.
I will highly suggest you stay away.
And I was going to ask Mindy to give me points, but I'm not going to do that this time.
You dodged a bullet.
George, what do you think?
Well, being that I haven't eaten at Boatwright's, I haven't tried the prime rib, and I haven't tried the rice skunk. So I will have to be honest and fair that it could go 50-50 either way. So I'll give you 50 points.
Oh, good strategy.
I thought you were going to say, I've never been there, and just like you have never been to Pandora.
You missed that one, George. That was opportunity not taken.
Well, technically I did think of, I wanted to get Dan back at some point, right? But then I'm thinking, I'm on a roll, and I know for a fact this isn't the last time we're going to see these point game shows.
The public wants them, George. All right, so after 4 rounds, first place we have George at 400, perfect score. Mindy, you had now jumped into second place with 346, and I am in last at 313. So this is the last round.
All right.
We got to make it work, but here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to go first this time since I'm in last. Then we'll have Mindy go, and then George try to win it. Sound good?
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. All right, so my last one was Living with the Land, since that was stolen. I'm going to go with my 6th on this list. And again, it's kind of stealing a little bit because someone had mentioned some of the tours, but I'm just going to go big picture with the tours in general. And if you want me to be specific, I will give one specific. But I think that the tours in general are something that is very underrated. Now, maybe that is because there's a cost that comes to it, and some of them have very high costs, so I can understand that. But like Mindy mentioned before, the Behind the Scenes tour, that's pretty reasonably priced, that one. But it's always cool, especially for a Disney lover. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are a Disney lover. To just get some extra, behind the scenes type of stuff. So I think tours are definitely underrated. I will say that my favorite tour that I've ever been on is the Wild Animal Trek, I believe it's called, at Animal Kingdom. If you are on the Kilimanjaro safari, you can see these broken bridges that people sometimes walk over, and that is the tour that goes on there. It was really cool. It was about 3 hours. You got very close to rhinos, and you get your own private safari, and you get your own private like area out in the savannah where you could have some awesome fresh African food. It was a really good experience. Have any of you guys been on any other tours besides the ones you mentioned?
I have done the Keys to the Kingdom tour at the Magic Kingdom, and that one was very good. I'm one. I love behind the scenes stuff. I love seeing how things work because for me, it doesn't necessarily ruin the magic for me. It actually pluses it because I'm just so intrigued by that stuff. So we got to go down into the utilidors and everything, and they show you the hallways and the pathways of how to get to each section of the park, and how certain things go, like the mechanics of the animatronics and the technical stuff that goes into actually running the ride, and which included at the time when I did the tour, I forget what the digital animated control system or something like that, or DATS, and it literally is the brainstem of the whole entire Magic Kingdom park. It runs the animatronics, it runs the sound effects, and it's air controlled. They have everything pretty much on lockdown and everything. They just, show us like where it's located at. And, they said it goes literally from every little sound effect into the Haunted Mansion to the sounds within the park as you're walking through each land. And it was, I love that tour. I would definitely recommend, if you haven't done it, do it. And if you have done it, do it again.
Now, George, that one's a pretty penny, though, right? It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I did that one about, I'd say maybe 11 years ago, and even then it was kind of pricey. So I would definitely say now it probably went up.
And time frame? It was a couple hours, right?
Yeah. I'd say it was not necessarily a half day, but I mean it would take like a half day as far as like your normal hours. I'd say maybe like 3-4-ish, getting through everything.
That sounds a lot of fun. Like I've done the Walk and Walt's Footsteps tour at Disneyland, and I've always wanted to do that one, the Keys to the Kingdom tour.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
On my bucket list too. All right, George, give me a score here.
Well, that one was actually on. I didn't know if I was going to use it, but that one was on my list.
Nice.
But not like necessarily a specific tour, but just the tours in general. So I'm going to give you 100 points just because since it was on my list, and I would have given myself 100 points. So.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. All right. Sounds good. Mindy, you are next.
Okay, last and final one. This is going out to DCA. And this is another attraction because I'm all about attractions, but I'm going with Monsters, Inc. The attraction out there. I know you've never been on it, and I'm probably going to get a low score, but it is so fun. It's so like you're put straight into the movie, and there's never a long queue line, and it's so cute. You get to go see, like, you go into the restaurant where they take Googly Bear, and it's amazing. The detail to this attraction. And you go through and you see all the doors that are going up and down, and how they use mirrors is unbelievable. It's totally underrated. And not very many people even know it's there. You could walk right by it. It's kind of hidden in the back where nobody ever goes now. And hopefully that changes soon, but it's very underrated. So I'm going with that.
Well, I'm a big Monsters, Inc. fan, so I have never been on the attraction, but I learned my lesson from last time when George scolded me for not giving a high score just because of it. So I have heard about it, and it's definitely something I would look forward to. So you know what, Mindy? 100 points for y'all.
Woohoo! Yeah.
I also just want George to get a little upset with me.
Oh, I'm already there.
Well, George, that you may not be upset too much longer because you are rolling with a perfect score here. It looks like Mindy is now going to finish at 446 points. You already have 400. All you have to do is not screw this one up.
And this one is the tough one because I actually have 2 left on my list that I have to, and I have to try to figure out which one I am going to use.
But I'm gonna make a deal with you. You're gonna tell us which one you're gonna use. But before I give the points for that one, I want you to give us the second one too.
Okay.
See if you made the right decision.
There is 2 different ones, and okay, I'm going to actually go with the risk here. I'm actually going to say an underrated attraction at the Magic Kingdom. Now, mind you, this isn't really too much my cup of tea. I really wouldn't do this myself, so I probably would think that's probably why it's underrated, because it just gets passed by. However, I think there's an even bigger reason why it's underrated, and I have to go with the Swiss Family Treehouse. And the reason why I'm going with the Swiss Family Treehouse, more so because I'm a nostalgic person. And if someone had to compare it to the Tarzan Treehouse out in Disneyland, people would assume, okay, go for Tarzan because it's animated, it's more resonated with children. But for me, it just comes back to that classic Disney film of the Swiss Family Robinson. And if you actually take the time to go through the treehouse and everything, you can actually see of how detailed that they literally put that treehouse in, of how it was actually in the movie.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. The detail in that attraction, it's one of those things. A lot of people walk past it. If you've been on it once, you probably don't go on again. But I make sure that I go through that thing every single time.
And I just love the movie. So as far as like a nostalgic purpose, I think it's underrated because a lot of people just think, okay, it's just a walk-through attraction. You could be done with it. But I think if you really take the time to not necessarily hurry up and want to get through it and literally walk through and look at what you're visualizing, and if you go back and watch the movie, you could say, oh, I've really seen that in real life.
Yeah. All right, George, you want to throw in your last one just for fun?
Yeah, sure. It was the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the 3 Caballeros.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I think it was more so breaking it down between those two because, again, it's an attraction based on a movie that a lot of kids don't resonate with, in today's time. If you would say, what's the 3 Caballeros to Coco, which Coco is a very good movie. I love Coco, don't get me wrong. But kids nowadays would lean more towards Coco. And I just think it's an underrated attraction due to the fact that it's based off of a 1946 film that isn't really discussed anymore.
So, George, it's funny that you bring that up because this is my son. He's 7 years old. It's my son's favorite attraction. He didn't know who they were before he rode that attraction, but he learned who they were from going through the attraction. And I think that's like, something that's lost at Disney World these days. You see it on the big screen and then you go ride the attraction, where this one worked the other way. And it's funny because we got him, they have a new short out. We got him the DVD for Christmas, and he loved it. He was watching a Tim Tracker video where they went to Panchito's food court. I forget what resort. I think it's at Old Key West or something like that. It's called Panchito's. And he was so excited. He wanted to go to that resort just because of that. And then the new revival of DuckTales came out. And who showed up this season?
Yeah,
Panchito and Jose, right?
Okay.
And it was like a big deal to my son that was there. So, yes, you're right. They're probably lesser known characters, but there are some people that know who they are out there. So.
And the one plus side with that, with Connor, is with you being a diehard Disney fan, kind of going back to what I was saying, he got the privilege to go on it, even though he didn't know them beforehand, but he got to know. Where if a lot of people come down, again, not expecting what they're seeing, it's like, oh, it's the 3 Caballeros, we'll just bypass that. And their kids are missing out.
Yeah. I think I told this story on the show before, but it was the first song that Connor ever sung when he was was starting to talk. And I remember looking, it was on, I had it on the radio, I had one of the CDs on, and I look in my rearview mirror, and he's singing the Three Caballeros song. So special place in our hearts. That's the one you should have went with, George, because that would have got you like 1 billion points, by the way.
I was stuck between the two, and I thought, you know what, I'll go for the oddball one.
All right, George, you only needed 46 points. What do you think you're getting?
Drum roll.
I would like 100.
You're getting 45.
Oh.
The winner of tonight's show, Mindy, with 446 points.
Oh, and the
Congratulations,
crowd goes
Mindy.
wild.
George, you were that close. You lost by 1 point.
Oh, no. See, now I'm so getting you back the next time. I don't care anymore.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you beat me. I came in at 413 points.
Woo.
Angel of mercy.
Well, Mindy, you're a rookie at this game, but you came in and slayed it.
Look at that. Look at that. I am a pro at this game. I'm patting myself on the back.
You guys have any other honorable mentions you want to throw out there at all?
Oh, man. I don't know. It took me a while to come up with these.
I got one.
What's
Go ahead.
I really, really despise your point system.
I love it. I think it's great.
I despise it so much that I have to keep on doing it. I have to keep on doing it. Because I will, if it kills me, I will get on top one of these times. I will, and stay on top and be there to the very end.
So a little behind the scenes there, passengers, is that we have we have an app that we keep track of our shows, and there's a schedule that comes out. And I was waiting for the show for me to host it with George being on it, just to do a point show. And the opportunity was here tonight. So, guys, thanks for having fun and playing in my dumb game. I appreciate it.
It was a blast.
And in all honesty, though, it really is fun. It's perfect, and it fits so well with our personalities. It really does.
Oh, for sure.
Well, passengers, if we missed anything, please feel free to comment and let us know what underrated attractions or experiences out there that you feel are underrated and need more love. And I think it's a good way for all of us as the Disney community to try new things a little bit. So with that being said, I see that the station is currently approaching. So we will conclude this Grand Circle tour right now. Have a good night, everyone, and we will see you real soon. Ken, take it away.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.
Kevin, take it away.
Dan, you said Kevin.
Who's Kevin? Now you're pulling. Oh, you cannot. Don't ever make fun of me.
I was thinking the conversation.
Kevin. I was like,
as I was saying it.
Guy? Kevin.
All right.
See, this is why you guys confuse me as to what his name really is. If it's Ken, Kent, Kevin.
I don't know. Should we let him do it over?
Yeah, I'll do it over.
It's Coco Chanel.